Hey everybody, it is day 4 of 30 days of the gratitude challenge with the wisdom of the masters. Join me if you like, post something below this video that you're grateful for today and join me in the challenge. Really, gratitude will change your life from the inside out in fundamental ways that you can't possibly imagine. And today I'm reading a little quote I love by Ramana Maharshi, and it's from a book. Well, it's in many places, but it is in the book, Be As You Are. And I just love this. It says, that in which all these worlds seem to exist steadily, that of which all these worlds are a possession, that from which all these worlds rise, that for which all these exist, that by which all these worlds come into existence, and that which is indeed all these, that alone is the existing reality. Let us cherish that self, which is the reality. Yeah, that covers it all. That's everything, all in one. There's not much more to say when it comes to that. And the self, which is not other than yourself, is all there is. And all there is yourself. I know that sounds big. I live. And it is big. Well, it's not really big, it's just what is. What appears small are divisions of that, ideas of self and other, of me and the world. And then when we have these imaginary divisions, we have struggle and strife and fight. Completely unnecessary when there's no reason, no need for that to be true. There's far few, almost no, books that I like to read that are being put out now on spirituality. All of the so-called teachers just fall flat. They still speak from a separated viewpoint. And there's very few, I call them masters, that I enjoy reading. And Ramana Maharshi is one of them. Nisargadatta Maharaj, Sri Atmananda. These people are no longer living. These bodies have passed on, but the wisdom has been passed on and persists for those who hear something in it. If you heard something in that, you know, that in which all these worlds seem to exist steadily. Seem to exist steadily. Of course, if we really look at it, nothing exists steadily. That of all these worlds, that of which all these worlds are a possession. So these, what these worlds belong to. That from which all these worlds rise. And that for which all these exist. And that by which all these worlds come into existence. And which is indeed all these worlds. That alone is the single reality. Such a relief to realize there's no separation, there's no division, there's nothing to fight against. There's nothing to avoid. Most people can connect with that relief, even if they don't yet quite understand what it means in their own direct and true and real experience. Still, the truth imparts relief wherever it is perceived. I love Ramana so much. I'm going to read another one. In this book, Ramana uses the word the self. And quite often he uses it. He uses a few other words, but this is a very common one. And I'll read it here. This is the term that he used the most frequently. He defined it by saying that the real self, or real I, is, contrary to perceptible experience, not an experience of individuality, but a non-personal, all-inclusive awareness. The danger with that is if you think there's a you and you want to point to something called awareness, you think you've got it now because you read it in a book like this. But this idea of me and this thing called awareness is subject-object, is duality. And so is not understanding the teachings properly. It's not perceiving the truth. It's starting from a separated viewpoint. But what I like here is it says that the real self, or real I, which everybody has, contrary to perceptible experience, we'll talk more about that, is not an experience of individuality, but is non-personal. Personal can only arise when there's you and me, self and other, my personal viewpoint and your personal viewpoint, for example. But what he's saying here is that the real self, or real I, is not an experience of individuality, because all individuality is an experience. It's a thought, an image, and memory. It comes and goes. So I is not an individual, but is the all-inclusive, all-pervasive self-awareness. Self-awareness. I like that better than, awareness, because some people will talk about awareness like it's an object in their awareness, something I'm aware of. Yes, there's this thing called awareness. Who says? Who says so? It'd be harder for you to say, there's this thing called self-awareness. So you can't say that, right? Self is self. He continues, it is not to be confused with the individual self, which he said was essentially non-existent, being a fabrication of the mind, which obscures the true experience of the real self. He maintained that the real self is always present and always experienced, but he emphasized that one is only consciously aware of it as it really is when the self-limiting tendencies of the mind has ceased. Mind must stop in order for you to see this, in order for you to realize that you're not mind, and in order for you to realize the true nature of yourself. Where does it start? Where does it stop? Where does it end? Where does it begin? And where does self and others start, stop, and end? Questions that hardly anybody ever asks themselves. I'm very, very thankful to Ramana Maharshi, who is not other than ourself, for leaving us breadcrumbs to follow, to realize the true nature of what we call I. And I am grateful today that it's sunny out and we had a lovely little snow and the weather looks nice for a walk. And I'm going to go and do that before the sun goes down. So thanks for being here. Drop me a line of what you're grateful for today and enjoy yourself, because that's what you do. Until then, keep it real. See you next time.